Eliza Nicole Almanza Morales was born on May 21, 1995 in Chicago, Illinois. She was the daughter of Raquel Landa and Nick Almanza, who, in addition to her, had 6 other daughters. Eliza grew up in the greater Chicago metropolitan area, known as Chicagoland, in a large family. She was always surrounded by sisters and cousins. From a young age, her family and close friends called her Nikki, a loving nickname derived from her middle name, Nicole. But what seemed to be the beginning of a bright future would soon become a nightmare no one could have foreseen. During her childhood and adolescence, between 1995 and the early 2000s, she discovered simple passions that would stay with her forever. Listening to Mac Miller at full volume on her headphones and enjoying the crispy pizzas from Little Frank's. Also part of this world was iced coffee, and above all, long walks outdoors with her 2 dogs. In high school, around 2009 to 2013, something happened that would change the course of her life forever. She met Gabriel Morales. Their relationship started lighthearted, full of laughter and teenage plans, but soon grew into something solid and deep. Gabriel was the partner who understood Eliza like no one else, and together they began dreaming of a future together. After high school, around 2013, Eliza began working in the payroll department at Lurie Children's Hospital in Chicago, one of the most respected pediatric hospitals in the country. At some point before 2024, Eliza and Gabriel made their union official by getting married. They moved into a quiet apartment in the 2300 block of Ogden Avenue in Downers Grove, a peaceful suburban town on the outskirts of Chicago. There they built a family routine. Eliza loved cooking, tidying the house, and creating a home where everyone felt welcome. She was dedicated and attentive, the kind of person who remembered the little details, what everyone liked to eat, which music would soothe her daughter at the end of the day. Around 2024, the greatest joy of her life arrived, the birth of Zayla, her first daughter. Zayla became the center of Eliza's universe. She often took her daughter to the library, sat on the floor with her, and read stories aloud, fostering a love of books from an early age. Later, the family adopted Zula, an elderly dog who became part of the household and would accompany Eliza on walks with her daughter. They already had another dog who also often went along when Eliza took her daughter out. Between 2025 and early 2026, Eliza decided to convert to Islam. She had spent a significant amount of time studying the religion and felt a deep connection to it, which led her to make that decision. It was during this same period that she discovered she was pregnant again. Eliza and Gabriel were expecting another daughter, whom they decided to name Xochitl, meaning flower in Nahuatl, the language of the Aztecs and indigenous peoples of pre-Columbian Mexico. At the time, Eliza was already 5 months pregnant and was preparing the baby's nursery. Everything in the family seemed to be thriving, but a tragic event would soon change everything and shake the small town of Downers Grove. At the end of January 2026, the Morales family decided to sell an old vehicle they owned, a 1994 Ford Ranger, dark red in color. According to sources, Gabriel listed the vehicle on Facebook Marketplace on January 24th. It was meant to be a simple sale, something many families do to part with items they no longer need. The price is not specified in the sources, but the focus was on passing the vehicle along. Nedis Ravukas, a 19-year-old from Westmont, a neighboring town, responded to the listing the same day. According to reports, Nedis had no criminal record, so no one expected him to be capable of committing such a brutal act. He worked full-time as a painter and was studying to become an electrician through an apprenticeship program. He lived with his girlfriend's family in the 1400 block of Spruce Street. On the 24th, Nedis went to the Morales residence, saw the Ford Ranger, paid for it, and drove it away, leaving the Morales license plates on the vehicle, a common detail in quick sales to be sorted out later. Everything seemed like a normal transaction. According to what Nedis later told the police, he began to become frustrated with the condition of the vehicle. He claimed that the engine had problems that had not been disclosed, although this is his allegation and has not been confirmed as fact. 2 days later, on January 26th, Gabriel and Nedis exchanged a few messages on Facebook to arrange the return of the license plates and the delivery of the sales receipt. Since Gabriel was at work, Eliza agreed to receive Nedis at home. It was a typical Monday afternoon. According to family reports cited in sources, Eliza was home alone, cooking dinner. Her daughter was being cared for by her paternal grandmother, who lived nearby. Zula, the dog, and the other dog were there, resting. Around 5:10 p.m., Nedis arrived at the building where the Morales family lived. Security cameras captured the moment he met Eliza at the entrance. Confident and helpful, she handed him a tool, likely a screwdriver, to assist with the license plate exchange. Everything seemed routine, a brief meeting to handle a simple task. Around 5:15 p.m., Nettis stepped outside for a moment but returned shortly after, holding something shiny behind his back, described as resembling a screwdriver. Eliza, unsuspecting, led him into the apartment. According to Nettis's later confession to the police, a discussion arose about the condition of the vehicle. He claimed frustration over engine problems that had allegedly not been disclosed during the sale. What began as a conversation about the vehicle quickly escalated into something far worse. Between 5:28 p.m. and 5:47 p.m., the argument turned violent. A camera showed the apartment door opening slightly, with Nettis visible in the doorway before closing. 2 minutes later, the door opened and closed several times, indicating a struggle. Sources described the door handle turning from the inside as if someone was trying to escape. It was Eliza, fighting for her life. Nettis confessed to using sharp-edged objects and tools to attack Eliza. The coroner documented a high number of injuries, with the trauma concentrated primarily on her head, neck, and torso. During the struggle, Eliza desperately pleaded for her life and for her unborn child, but the attack continued. The family dog, Zula, also attempted to intervene to protect Eliza, but was struck and injured by Nettis. Despite her severe injuries, Zula survived, escaping through a sliding glass door. Immediately following the assault, Nettis tried to cover up the crime. He stacked household items on the kitchen stove and used chemicals and disinfectant as accelerants to start a fire. Detectives later identified two primary points of origin for the fire: the stove and the front door. It was a desperate attempt to destroy evidence, but it only increased the chaos in the building and further complicated matters for him. At 6:08 p.m., smoke began to pour out from under the apartment door, which was captured by surveillance cameras. It was a sign that something terrible had occurred inside. Just 1 minute later, at 6:09 p.m., the building's fire alarm went off, alerting the residents. The Downers Grove Fire Department was called immediately. The building was evacuated due to smoke and fire damage. Upon entry, firefighters located Eliza near the door. Paramedics noted extensive injuries, and despite their efforts, she was pronounced dead at the scene. Another resident was treated for smoke inhalation and later released. The forensic report confirmed defensive wounds, showing Eliza fought back with all her strength. The official cause of death was listed as multiple injuries, with evidence indicating that she had also inhaled smoke from the fire set by the suspect. This tragedy resulted in the loss of both Eliza and her unborn daughter, a double homicide that devastated the family. After the crime, Nettis fled the scene, taking Eliza's cell phone with him. While driving, he broke it in half and threw it out the window near a Best Buy store. The weapon used in the attack was discarded near Highland and Butterfield Roads. He stopped at an Ace Hardware store at 63rd Street and Main Street, where he changed clothes and used toilet cleaner to remove forensic traces. He then threw the soiled clothes, gloves, Eliza's work badge, Gabriel's debit card, and fragments of the cell phone into an outdoor trash bin. Later, forensic evidence was found in the Ford Ranger. On the driver's door, the steering wheel, and about $200 in cash on the seat, with some bills showing signs of the struggle. On the night of January 26th, following the incident, Eliza's mother-in-law, Angelica Silva, saw smoke coming from the building and immediately called Gabriel at work. He rushed home, but it was already too late. Meanwhile, Nettis returned to his residence in Westmont, where he lived with his girlfriend's family. At 11:42 p.m. that same night, police arrived at Nettis's home. Following leads from Eliza's phone and other evidence gathered, they located the Ford Ranger in the garage and took Nettis into custody without resistance. It was the end of a brief flight, but the beginning of an investigation that would reveal the shocking details of what had occurred. The following day, the investigation gained momentum. Throughout the morning and afternoon, Nettis was interrogated by police. He admitted to the crime, crying alone in the interrogation room and stating that he knew it was wrong. To validate his statement, he led detectives to the locations where he had discarded the evidence, which was successfully recovered. A search warrant at his home uncovered footwear and clothing with forensic stains. Nettis claimed he did not plan to take Eliza's life but lost control, and that his frustration was directed at her husband. These words, recorded in official reports, show a moment of impulsive anger, but do not diminish the gravity of the act. It is important to note that there is no evidence that Nettis ever complained to Gabriel about the alleged engine problem. He simply went to the Morales family apartment and committed the act against Eliza while there. There is the possibility that this story is an invention of his to justify the crime, and the true motivation could be something else. The investigation was a collaborative effort from the start. involving multiple local and state agencies. Key evidence includes building surveillance footage, Nidas's detailed statement, and items recovered from the locations he indicated. The crime had a major impact on the town of Downers Grove. Family, friends, and the entire population were deeply shaken. A candlelight vigil was held on January 28th outside the Morales family apartment. Residents and family gathered to honor Eliza's memory. A GoFundMe page was created to support the family, raising more than $60,000 by January 29th. Gabriel Morales stated in interviews that he would spend the rest of his life missing the wife he had been with since high school. He also said he will try to live for the daughter who has now lost her mother. On January 29th, Nidas appeared in DuPage County Court. The presiding judge denied pretrial release, calling the crime violent and brutal. Later that day, around 5 p.m., Nidas sustained self-inflicted injuries at the DuPage County Jail and was hospitalized in critical condition. Currently, according to sources, Nidas remains in custody receiving medical care while awaiting trial. If convicted, he could face a sentence of life in prison without the possibility of parole.